Welcome to Automox's Autonomous IT podcast, where we launch every Tuesday and Thursday. New podcasts. Today we have Catie Adams from NewPig. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before we dive into our questions and our topics for today, why don't you just give us a little bit of background on who you are, what you do, and how you got into IT?
Sure. So I'm Catie Adams. I work at NewPig. I've been a sysadmin here for about 12 years now. My story about getting into IT is kind of rather boring. I actually started college as like an exploratory major because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then I kind of had this thought that, wow, you really have this love for computers. Why don't you take an IT related track? So I graduated with a degree in information technology, and I actually landed an internship here at NewPig, and then I got hired on, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
like some of the best stories that I've heard. I know there are a couple of people at Automox who started as interns and they're like employee 6 in the startup. And it's such an incredible thing to see how things
Yeah.
grow over the years.
Yeah, it's actually happened here a few other times as well with interns, being hired on full time and staying here. So it definitely is nice.
Yeah, it definitely says a lot about the culture, I think.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's dive into your background with Automox.
Sure.
How do you use it? How did you find it? And what has your journey with Automox been like?
So we use Automox primarily for patch management. I know there's some other, tools within it, like the remote management piece. We don't use that much, but definitely are using it for patch management, specifically for automating our patch management. We're a smaller environment. We have less than like 1,000 endpoints, and probably about a little or 3/4 of those are end user machines. Um, I actually found you guys, I believe, on a Gartner report. I was looking for a platform to replace what we had currently been using, which was Dubsus. I'm not sure if you're very familiar with that, but it has pretty limited capabilities. And we had used it for about 2 years, and it came down to the fact that the endpoints weren't receiving patches, as they needed to. So I went and started to explore other options, and Automox came up. You guys are really great to work with. We did a POC with you, and we tested, some other products as well. But ultimately, Automox came out on top. So we've been with you for 4 years now, I think. Obviously, couldn't be any happier. But yeah, it's been great, a great journey. And we plan on sticking around for a while.
That's great. That's music to my ears. So this month is Security Month at Automox. So talking about IT and security together. Obviously, Sure. Every organization kind of handles those two a little bit differently. Sometimes they're completely separate entities.
Yep.
Sometimes, you're the exact same team. I'd love to get your opinion on how IT operations and security operations can work together.
So in our case, IT ops and spec ops end up being the same team, basically. Our IT ops team is a little bigger than our sec ops team, but myself and my manager are actually, our sec ops team here. So obviously, we're integrated well with the IT ops team as well. So we kind of work hand in hand. We try not to, hinder the IT ops side of things with the security piece, but we also make sure that, the other admins and the help desk folks are very aware of, security related items when, making any IT ops related changes, whether that's, server based or app based or anything like that. We're always trying to keep security in the back of their mind. Now, I know in larger organizations, those teams are probably separate and they work together a little bit differently. But for us, it's very much integrated for both teams.
Yeah. I know that you said that you try not to hinder too much for the IT side of things. Are there anything in particular that you try and keep in mind to work best with them, or is there anything that anyone listening can take into practice in their day to day?
Um, obviously, we have like major projects come up.
Yeah.
We're starting to configure things, or we're standing up some servers. We're configuring apps on those servers. We're always trying to get them to follow best practice security
Mm.
wise as as best that they can. Obviously, there are things that come up that need more of a discussion, a bigger discussion. If something's going to come up and security is going to in any way hinder like app performance or you know user I don't want to say user performance, but usability, I guess, would be a good word. Then we try to have discussions around that and maybe find a middle ground between best practice security wise and functionality for the user.
Awesome. Um, okay, moving on to my next question. I'd like to get your advice. If there is someone in IT that feels like they don't work closely with security
Sure.
or that they don't contribute to a security related outcome, what are some steps that they could take to move towards that?
So in my experience, and this is just kind of being in the industry for a while now, I've kind of always been taught and kind of learned that security is an everyone problem. It's not just the SecOps team's problem. It's your end users problem, it's your marketing folks' problem, it's your IT dev problem. So in the case that someone doesn't feel like they're contributing to that, I think they probably are in a way that they're not thinking about. Um, but if I was someone who worked in IT and didn't feel like I was kind of contributing to security, I would probably kind of reach out to my manager or director or what have you, have a discussion with them, and maybe you could get together with the SecOps team and discuss where you think you might fit in or where you could add value. But like I said, I think security is definitely an everyone problem. So I'm sure that this individual would definitely fit in some capacity, but maybe they just need to figure out what role they have in it.
Yeah, definitely. And if they are an IT professional, maybe just starting out in IT, and they'd really like to get focused in on security, do you have any advice for that?
That's a tough one because there are a lot of folks that are coming out of college these days with security
Yeah,
degrees in some aspect. It's very very popular, and I've seen a lot of people that are having trouble getting the foot in the door somewhere.
yeah,
So I definitely say, apply as many places as you can, get as many certifications as you can. If you're working in an IT environment and you kind of want to become more on the security side, definitely do those same things and just try to get your foot in the door and kind of go from there. It's difficult because there are so many folks now that are coming into the field.
yeah, definitely. I know here at Automox, we definitely watch like the job market and stuff like that, and it's been really difficult as of late. Probably has to do with so many different macroeconomic factors,
Right,
but
right, absolutely. Yep.
this is actually probably the perfect time to plug this for all of those who are listening and are interested in hearing more about the job market and how to position yourself. Automox is actually throwing a live show on our YouTube on October 30th. And we actually have an IT recruiter coming on, and she's going to give us some best practices, some tips and tricks. So if you are having difficulty getting that foot in the door, hopefully there will be some really great advice on that for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's definitely probably going to be helpful for a lot of folks. So I hope a lot of people tune in for that.
Yeah, definitely. I think something that has really surprised me in a very good way is since starting at Automox a little bit over 2 years ago, is seeing how much of IT is like a community and
Yes.
how
Yep.
interlinked different organizations is and everyone kind of knows of everyone in
Yep.
some way, it's a really tight knit community, and I think that's really awesome. I think we've seen that in a lot of ways, like people willing to help each other out in the community
Yep.
or building worklets. Or I know there are a lot of people who will be an Automox customer and then come and work for Automox. It's all kind of like interlinked like that.
Yeah, I've had a couple calls with folks at Automox who started out as customers and then became employed there. So that's really awesome. Um, but yeah, it's nice to see that for you guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it really reinforces having like a customer centric point of view, like
Absolutely.
wanting to help out as much as possible. Uh,
Yep.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing
Absolutely.
some of your tips and tricks. I
Yep.
think it's always so interesting because, well, Automox it is an IT product. It's also so security focused and it has such
Yep.
a security outcome. It's a really interesting niche to be in, and it's really interesting to hear how different people use it
Yeah.
on their teams.
Hmm.
And I'm sure there are people who are listening to this out there and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to my security operations team and we're gonna change some things. So
Yeah, I
um
hope they do. I hope they do. It's a good product, especially if you're in the market for something new, or obviously if you have a patch management system that maybe it's not performing like you need it to, or maybe you need a little more automation involved where you're a little less, more hands off with it. Definitely would recommend Automox for sure.
awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. If you are listening to the podcast, or you're wondering where you can find us, we are available on every platform where you can find your podcast: Spotify, Apple, YouTube. And we come out with different episodes every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Ashley.